Greetings. Here I am for a little debrief on the Bundy ranch because I see there's more nonsense that's coming down the pipe. And this is why I've been saying for the longest, you cannot trust mainstream media, but y'all insist on drinking the Kool-Aid. You know, somebody just put out a story from the Young Turks, I believe, that they're fighting amongst each other and threatening violence and stuff like that, things at the Bundy ranch. Let me just go ahead and break through to the chase of what's happening. I met the man, we sat down, we talked. We didn't have a conversation prior to my going out there. This was not some pre-orchestrated event. It was an event where I said that I was going to go and sit and show my support. I didn't go to see if the man was a racist. I already knew he wasn't. I didn't go to find out if the press was lying. I already knew that they were. Because you see, I recognize what goes on underneath. I did go, in addition to showing my support for the fact that he stood up and said no, and to all of the volunteers, or shall I say supporters, that showed up to show their support, and to Jason Patrick, who has kept us in the loop of what's going on. I wanted to commend them personally for what they have done. Now, let me just get rid of some of the BS. I've already told you from the get-go, the man was not a racist, and the things that he has expressed may not, some of you are saying, well, it may not have been the most eloquent. Well, I remember this cat by the name of Moses who said he wasn't eloquent at all, and Jesus just said, not Jesus, I'm sorry, God told him directly, just tell the truth, I got your back. So the words of truth are true. Some may be bitter, but it is what it is. We sat, we talked. He talked about what he believes. One thing that I found to be additionally endearing to me is that he is a fervent believer in the Lord Jesus Christ and God, and endeavors to serve him. Now, I know some of you are going to bring up the thing about the Mormon church. Personally, I don't do the Mormon church because of some of the teachings that they have put forth in the past. But let us not forget, many of you were willing to vote for Mitt Romney in spite of that. But that had nothing to do with it, because there are a whole bunch of denominations that's got some things wrong when it comes to what Jesus Christ was all about, which is why I don't do denominations. And everybody always asks, well, what denomination? I said none. Because Jesus ain't coming back for a denomination. He coming back for the people that try to live and do as he commanded. All right, so that puts that out. So that's two things down. The Mormon church, because I heard people mumbling about that. The fact that he's a racist, I don't deal with that. This issue about the townspeople filing reports because they're afraid of the militiamen. Let me tell you something. There were 3 people that I saw myself who cried. I saw the tears roll down their face. One woman who expressed her fear of having weapons pointed at her, an unarmed woman, by federal agents. That's right. And knowing that God was there with her, she said a peace came over her. It's in the interview. Another guy who said he did the first Ron Paul logo when Ron Paul got into the first presidential campaign. And this dude hugged me and cried because he was glad that I came out there. Like I kept telling him, man, I'm nobody special. I'm in this fight just like you. I'm getting jacked just like you by those people up in DC. So while I appreciate it, and it's humbling as hell that you think this, I'm out here just like you on the front line. I'm fighting the same battle that you're fighting. I commend you because you were here and I wasn't. You know, I'm coming after the fact. And so this thing about these people being violent and threatening is a bunch of horse dung. Then somebody said, well, I heard that you got to show ID to get in and blah, 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 blah. It was none of that. You can come and go and see various camps where people had laid out, where they have been staying for days on end, feeding those that are there. I mean, man, they had food everywhere. But the other thing to it was, none of these people were walking around threatening. What was happening is this, and one thing that you did get a sense of, if you come up in here, be well behaved. Don't bring no foolishness up in here, because we don't want to deal with that. This is a serious issue. That was the only thing that you recognized when you went, because yes, there were people that had on sidearms, but nobody was walking around with assault rifles, machine guns, etc., etc. So all this thing about them riding around and the townspeople are fearful and this and that, that is total hogwash. Not the case at all. There weren't even townspeople walking around, let alone them going into town armed with rifles and machine guns and machetes and stuff like that. So you cannot believe what you hear. And then the latest one about the militia guys are fighting each other. Not true. Now, what did happen, from what I was told, was there was chatter that was put out that there was a drone strike that was going to be made against the encampment where they were sleeping and had taken up station. And rather than become victimized by the government, some of them packed up and they left. I guess that was a little too far to go. And then there were those that were upset that they left. They felt that they should have held their ground. That was the disagreement. But they did not try to stop any single person from leaving if that is what they wanted to do. And they came in peace. They left in peace. That is the truth of what has gone on. And yes, a very short drive just before, it's a very short drive from where some volunteers were posted. They do stop you and ask you, were you invited to go up to the domicile, his household, which was very modest. And all you folk thinking that this is some man out here living high on the hog, not the case at all in how they are presenting what is coming on. They're very modest in their lifestyle, very humble, very welcoming. They wanted to have us over for dinner, but you know, we were only there for a few hours at best and had to get back just to get to the airport, which was, you know, the distance of about an hour and a half from the camp, from the household to the airport. So we could not stay for that, but I would have loved to have broken bread with him and his family. And again, you know, they were as nice as can be. So that is the debrief of what took place on my visit. I got to meet the man myself. We sat down, we talked. He talked about what he believed, what I believe in, and we both understood that we stand in solidarity and understanding that our federal government is engaged in acts of tyranny. And many of you may not get that because tyranny might sound like a strong word to you. But when the government violates your constitutional protections, that is by definition tyranny. The only thing they're not doing is shooting us. But don't forget Kent State, okay? Don't forget Waco. Don't forget many of those things. And then we have people out there, the last thing, and I'm going to close, trying to get them to go, the supporters. They want them to go. Why? Because they are armed. And two, because they have been standing against the government. Why do they want them to go? So that the government can go in and have their way with them. Stand your ground. It is time we stand up and say no. And you know, folk, I'm trying to get y'all to do the same thing with the voting. stand up and say no and stop voting for these people that would go and violate your constitutional protections. End of story. TMOT out. Drive time till next time. I was there. I know what the hell I'm talking about. Peace.